Hi, my name is Søren. Welcome to my diary. This is my first attempt with Fusion 360. The drawing leaves a lot to wish for, but at least all the measurements are there and I know how it's going to look like when it's finished. It's a damper rod for a Marzocchi front fork, the kind you find in Italian vintage bikes and of course also in the Morinis. It's an alternative design with a lot of improvements. The original design isn't very well designed. Especially the valve has improvements, and it's made for tuning the suspension with an emulator valve. I won't go into details with that. I might do that in a special Morini video for you Morini guys out there. I can't take credit for the design. It's Paul Compton, the English Morini guru, who's made the design. Some words about this video. Some of the parts I've made last year and I haven't got footage of, so it's only partly a build, I'm afraid to say so. And another thing, I haven't really found a good way to mount my camera, and my camera is my iPhone. The way I'm doing it, I'll show you a picture here. As you can see, it's very primitive, but kind of effective. The only problem is, of course, when I mount it anywhere on the machines, I will have vibrations, and you'll see that quite a lot in this video. So, yeah, you have to bear with it, and I hope I will come up with a better way to mount my camera, my iPhone. Yeah, hope you'll enjoy. This is the original damper rod assembly. This is of course the valve that will be improved. The spring will be reused, and so will the seal here. On top of the rod, this emulator valve will be mounted. To give it a better hold and better flow around the openings, there's an improvement to the top of the damper rod. What I've made off camera are the upper and lower part of the valve assembly, and I've pre-turned the top of the damper rod. So that leaves of course the valve itself, the damper rod, and final turning of the top. I'm also going to make some emulator sleeves that will connect the spring and the emulator valve in a better way. In this end there's going to be these 3 ab-long 6mm holes. I'm using this as a stop, of course, and because I still don't have a dividing head, I'm using this simple method. Just a bolt in the end and then turn it. Very simple, but effective. And the precision isn't that important. For the 2 holes in the upper part of the damper rod, I'm simply eyeballing where I want the holes. It's not important at all where they are, but I just like to have them in somewhat in line with the other holes here. The last part of the valve assembly is the valve itself, and I'm making it in this black PUM. I'm going to make a small change to the design of the valve. It has this recess that determines the 2 diameters, but instead I'm going to make a taper, and that is simply to make sure that there are no, or at least as little as possible of edges that might cause turbulence to the flow of the oil. It might be overkill, but I think it's better to minimize these things that can have unwanted effects, so that you're sure that it's the design of the valve and not something else that controls the oil flow. As you can see, I'm simply using the parting tool to turn it. First I set I cut a groove where I'm going to part it off. So when I'm doing the tape, I know where I have to go to. And I set all the slides to 0. Then I go back 8 millimeters. It's here. And then it's simply to cut the taper and then part it off. Everything back to 0. To complete everything, I'm making these what I call emulator sleeves. The purposes are, first of all, to keep everything firmly in place, so you won't have the spring skid around on top of the emulator. But most important of all is to have a distance between the spring and the emulator, so there will be a better flow around the emulator. If you're wondering about this feeler gauge, how it can keep up this drawing, it's simply because this lid is kept up when it's open by a magnet. It's routed into the to the wood and then of course sticks onto the sign here, and that's of course also why it can keep up a drawing. As I said, I might do a special Morini video about the suspension, or the front fork at least, and talk about these, the technical aspects about this emulator valve. If you're interested in a kit, damper rod with emulator valve, write to me. So if you don't have the ability or the capability to make them yourselves, yeah, you can write to me. I made a small production. Thank you for watching, thank you for subscribing, thank you for the likes, and thank you for all the wonderful comments. I'm very pleased about those. And a special thank you to Paul Compton for the design of the damper rod, and for always being forthcoming with knowledge and help and advice. So, thank you.